happening. Maybe I will not go with that stream again. So, but that issue is happening for quite long time. So that is there, and what we are going to do today. Today we are going to start with JavaScript. So see video to today. Already we have two streams, so please do like and subscribe. What we are doing, nobody is doing on YouTube. It is only it is our third stream right now. Means 2:30 there was a CSS beginner to advanced. At 7 I had taken CSS advanced to master, and you can go through those videos. And now it is JavaScript, and this stream will happen for the whole week. Plus we have some other plans for Wednesday and Saturday, Sunday. We are planning to have those 2 days of bootcamp again, but right now it is not confirmed. So that's why I'm not putting it on the social media now. Maybe on Wednesday I'll put, because sometimes we have to see all those things, that whether some other thing doesn't comes up. Okay, so that is there, and that is a lot of people are waiting for the JavaScript thing. And sorry again, we have some technical issue with the provider, so we have to start it again. So let me share my screen. And see, JavaScript we are going to learn in, so JavaScript we're going to learn everything, but right now we are going to learn the basics. And also this we are going to learn in JSBin. And after that we have a JavaScript DOM. Async JavaScript is also there. And I think project we won't be able to do, and because there is a lot of things to cover in JavaScript project. But we have a lot of projects on the channel. Plus I'm planning to have some more projects also in JavaScript also, maybe previous week. And if we are going to have that boot camp, I'm planning to have that this time on HTML, CSS and JavaScript only. So that JavaScript part we will have some projects also this time. So that is there, that is the plan. So let's get started with JavaScript now. And what is JavaScript? JavaScript is used to add all the interactivity and all to any website. So JavaScript is not like a tough language like your Java and all. It is not mainly an object-oriented language, but now some object-oriented features are there, which are okay. I forgot to tell. We are going to cover ES6 also, which we are going to cover in the ES6 part. Okay, that object-oriented thing a bit. Only a bit is there for object oriented. So but it's a very easy language to learn, but a very difficult language to master. And I'm not asking you to master it, because to master it, it is just like CSS. A lot of you might have seen today that if you want to master CSS, it takes years to master CSS. Just like if you want to master JavaScript, it will take years to master JavaScript. So what should be the main plan? Main plan should be to learn JavaScript and learn React after that. Quickly learn React after that, so that you can get a job. If you are here for a job, then that is what you should do. If you are here to master JavaScript, then I will suggest you to look into some other videos of mine. Okay, maybe I'm planning to have some JavaScript advanced to master class also, because there are a lot of things which are sometimes required, like JavaScript, this keyword is a very tough thing. That also I have some videos, but I'm planning to have some other videos also. Maybe in that master certification I'm going to have that thing. Prototyping and all those things are there. Okay, so those things are there, maybe we're going to cover later on. But let's get started now. And JavaScript, as I've told, we are going to start with the bin, JSBin, not with some code editor. JavaScript is a programming language. So okay, I think hope you're all able to see my screen and all. So the first thing, just like any variables, okay, and JavaScript has gone through a major upgradations, not changes, upgradation in 2015 when ES6 was launched. Okay, so some of the features of ES6, we are going to have a separate ES6 class, means maybe on day 4th, or we can have it before that also. And again, like CSS class, I was able to complete a bit earlier, one day before. So then on the last day I have some projects. So if I'm able to complete this JavaScript also one day earlier, I don't know about that, how the pace will go and all. So then we can have some project, JavaScript project maybe. Okay, so that is there. So variables are very important to any programming language. Okay, so we have TypeScript and Angular. I specializes in React, but it doesn't mean that I don't have TypeScript and Angular on my channel. I have TypeScript and Angular also on my channel. Okay, so Angular is in TypeScript. So anyways, so that is there. If you want to do TypeScript and Angular, maybe you can go through my playlist on Angular. Okay, so TypeScript, I don't have some videos as a different, but I specializes in React and all. But it is not like that. I in corporate batches I teach Angular also, but React, because React you can get the most number of job in React, so that's why I concentrate on React. But Angular, maybe I take Angular class, I think two times, means in 2 months I take one time that Angular class. But anyways, you can go through that playlist and all. Okay, so that Angular is there always. As most of you know, Angular is the big projects in Angular are there in the big companies like Infosys, TCS, and all. Those are there. Startup doesn't touch Angular for the obvious reason. It is very tough. Okay, so anyway, for Angular also you need to need JavaScript. Anyway, JavaScript is required for everything. JavaScript, Angular is a framework, and React is a library. React is at least 100 times easier to learn than Angular. But if your company requires you to learn Angular, then you have to learn Angular, because in my whole career I started from the start of React. When React was started, I haven't keep switching between, because I have worked mainly in service companies. So I have the means last 5 years, and it was last 5 years of my career was in service company. So it was keep on changing. Some projects were in Angular, some projects were in React. So I keep on changing those things. Okay, so that is like that. But as I've told, startups don't touch Angular. And as I always give an example, if there are 10 jobs, 7 are in React, and only two are in Angular, and one is in Vue.js. So Vue.js, anyways, I don't teach. I know a bit of it, but I don't teach. Okay, so that is there. And so variables. So what are variables? First thing is, what are variables, like in JavaScript. Yeah, I know that thing. I know, because I know that thing. I also learned React, and the company needs Angular. I was on the same boat some few years back. I loved React, but company required Angular, and then I have to learn Angular, and all those things are there. So you can get those Angular playlists also on my channel. Okay, so let's start with JavaScript, which is required in both Angular and anything it is required. Okay, in both Angular it is required, and React is required, because both of them are JavaScript libraries and framework. Okay, so that is there. So variables. What are variables? So in most other programming languages, if you are coming from some other programming language like maybe Java, C++, you might know that variables are there. So variables are what? First, in JavaScript, in Java you might have learned about like int is there, string is there, boolean is there. All those things are there. All those things are there in JavaScript also, but we don't call them like int, string, and all those things. We, till 2015, we used to call them var. JavaScript was released in 1995. So from 1995 till 2015, we have only one data type in JavaScript, which is var. From 2015, two new data types were introduced in JavaScript. One is let and one is const. Why they were introduced? There is a story behind that. I will tell you that story. JavaScript has got some very interesting story behind it. Okay, so this is the var we will take first, and then I will take it as a f name. And JavaScript generally follow the camel casing notation. So everything you give in the camel case, like f name I am giving. So f is capital, or f name I can give it like first name. So first name. So this is a bit different from Java and all. Java we generally use Pascal case, but here we use camel case. The first thing is always small. Okay, first, not again. Oh. Spammers have come. Spammers have come. I need to kick them. Sorry, one sec. Where are these spammers? One sec. Some spammer have come. One sec. I will have to. No, Nagesh, I do have Node.js on my channel, but I mainly concentrate on the front end, because most of the jobs are in front end only. Today, only one backend engineer contacted me, and he was telling me, "Sir, I want to learn front end, because most of the jobs are in front end." Those who don't know, most of the jobs are in front end. Why? Because all the applications are front end heavy. This application I'm making, this JSBin, what do you think this JSBin is there? JSBin is a front end heavy application. Only a bit of this is in back end. So backend engineers were there from the earlier days, but since everything has moved to the front end, every project is front end heavy. So the most number of jobs are in React only, not the most numbers of jobs are in Java, not the most numbers of jobs are not there in Node.js. But if you want to know some backend language, it's always suggests Node.js. Anyway, Java I don't know. So Java, anyways, I don't even teach Java
I'm
because
Soumya.
Java is something which is totally Java. Once some spammer have come, and I think my admins are not here, so I have to remove these things, spammer thing myself, and hide user from this channel. Okay, sorry for that. Some spammer came. Okay, so that is there. Okay, so let's get started and on. Okay, so and again for the backend, so I have moderators. I have two moderators. I don't know where they have gone, so I have to admins. Okay, so sometimes the spammers generally just came. They just come in. Okay, so this maybe okay. If they come again, I will make it. They generally don't come back again. Okay, so I will. Somebody have to be really far coming daily, then I can make them moderator. Okay, so var first name is there. So this variable I have taken. So first name is there. Okay, so if you're coming from a JavaScript or Java or some other background, you might have seen that we take like this int, or why this is int, or no, in this case I will take string. So in Java we take it like this, but in what happens in JavaScript is known as a loosely typed language. Everything is a var in JavaScript. Okay, var in JavaScript. So it is not like it internally takes this as a string or something else. So everything is var in JavaScript, and then the other thing is like there is some other thing in 2015 they were released. They are known as let last name equal to, and there is a difference between let and var. We are going to learn about that next. Okay, and that is a very big interview question also, and that is it. And then there is a const thing is also there, and const of full name equal to, and those who are coming from a non-IT background, let me tell one thing about it. See, JavaScript will be the first thing which will be very tough to you. Okay, the thing is the HTML CSS, you can see those things. JavaScript is a programming language. It is you will find it is like in the thin air. It is nowhere to be seen because I am using a console. Console is what JavaScript and console I have chosen in this VS Code. I could have written it in your VS Code also. In this online, I have chosen JavaScript and console. HTML and CSS are very much like expressive type of a thing. What is this console? If you right click and inspect any browser, there is a console thing is coming. This is the console, and this JSBin, what it does is gives us console in this way. Okay, so you don't have to open it every time. So this JSBin, this is a plus point of the JSBin. You can see it, and when I run this code, I'll see it in the console. And programming language are like that. It is the it is one of the more thing which I will tell. Programming language are like in the memory. They stay in the memory of the computers. So memory is what? Memory is the random access memory or the RAM of a computer, which all of you might have heard like that. It is 8 GB, 16 GB, 4 GB, so something like that. That's why it is always said that if you are doing a programming, you should have at least 8 GB. That's the reason, because the programs are generally loaded in the RAM. They're not in the hard disks and all. They're not these variables I have created. They are not actually permanent. Means they are not in your in the hard disks and all. They're not stored anywhere. They're like in the RAM of the system, and they will go away. When I create something like this, this goes in the RAM of the system. So all these things are like that. Okay, and then in JavaScript only I can do a console.log of first name. So when I write this statement like this, var first name, in the RAM of a computer, there is something known as a MAC address or something, which the electronic engineers know. In that, a space is reserved, and in that we can have this thing. All the calculations and all the things are done in the RAM of the system only. So console.log, it is an inbuilt thing in JavaScript. If you're coming from a Java background, there is some Java or C++ or C background. There is a printf or all those things like that. So it is like that. Okay, so this I'll put this first name here, and console.log last name and full name. I'll run it and it will show me all these things. So this is how it has been shown. Okay, so that is there. Now as I've told that JavaScript, now we'll see one thing. So JavaScript, this bar is from 1995. Okay, till to it is still there, so you were using it. But in 2015 they introduced something known as let and const. So there is a way. So const is a constant which we're going to see briefly here, and we're going to see it again in the ESS. But what is the difference between var and let? And it's a very big interview question. So if you're going to give a JavaScript interview, the interview will ask what is the difference between var and let, and you'll say the difference between var and let is that var is functional scope and let is block scope. Then interview will ask what the hell is a functional scope and what the hell is a block scope. Then explain it. Now I'll explain it what is the functional scope and what is a block scope. Okay, so let me comment this out. So this is how you comment in JavaScript. Okay, so I'll go here and I'll do a okay. So there is something which we are going to do later on, and there is something known as a if statement. What is a if statement? We're going to learn in detail also. If statements are statements in which if it is true, then only it will go inside. Okay, so if I will make it as true, if true, generally we have some condition like a num is greater than 1 is greater than 2, 5 is greater than 6, something like that will condition. But I'm just giving a true. True is a boolean thing. So and then I have this curly bracket. So if it is true, then only it will go inside. In this case it is true, so it will always go inside. Then I'll have a var num1 equal to 10. I'll have okay. Then I'll have a console.log. Okay, console.log inside if var1. Okay, so if I give like this inside if var1, it will print this string which you have already seen. But I want to print some variable. This one thing I have to do this plus and I have to do this num1. So this num1 value is like 10. It will print that 10. Okay, so if I just run it like this, so it will print this inside if var1 is 10. Okay, so but what I'm going to do here, outside if var1. Okay, so it is also giving outside if var1. So if you are coming from some other programming language or thing, this will fail. The outside if var1 will fail, because in any programming language what happens, the scope of a variable is inside a curly bracket. See all this curly bracket kind of things which has been created by the if statement, switch statement, for loop, all those things create this scope. So they are all blocked scope. This is known as something known as block scope. All other programming language variables are blocked scope. In C++, this outside if will give an error because it is a block scope. It will not, the var num1, the scope means it doesn't exist outside it. It doesn't exist outside this two curly bracket var num1. It doesn't exist outside this curly bracket. So, but in JavaScript it does exist, because JavaScript that var is a function, and it caused a lot of issue in the 20 years from 1995 to 2015, and that's one of the reason they invented the let. Okay, so now we are going to do the same thing in a let first, and then we are going to see this what will happen in a let. And the let actually works like a normal other programming language. So I'll do a let, I'll do a 2 and num2. Okay, why I'm taking, sorry, I should have taken num1. This num1. Okay, doesn't matter. num2, 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 num2. I've taken inside of num2, outside of num2. Okay, so I'll again comment this out. Okay, now clear it, and sometime I have to give it. Okay, so inside if num2 is 10 is going, but in num2 is not defined is coming. In this here it is coming showing as num2 is not defined, reference error. The error is perfect because when you use a let is block scope. Let is block scope, just like in any other programming language. Let is also block scope, so it will not exist outside this, and this second one will give an error, and that error is a very good error. That error should come. Okay, so now as I have told you, you have told the interviewer that the var is a functional scope. Now what is a functional scope? Let us see what is a functional scope and how the creator have created it as a functional scope. Okay, so let us do that, and for that I have to again uncomment it. I will uncomment it, and now what we are going to have here, we are going to have a function here. Is a functional scope means there is something known as a function. So I'll have a function is written like this. So function is written like this, and all, and function var ext I'll do, and like this. Okay, outside if no one is there, outside, and functions are what? Functions again we are going to look later on in detail, and functions are like JavaScript is mainly a function-oriented programming language. So what happens in JavaScript? In any programming language, it is either a function programming language or an object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming language are a bit tough. Okay, in it, everything we divided in something known as classes like C++ and Java. Here, everything we divided in function. What everything? Every common code. See, any programming language, you just don't go and write a 1,000-line code. No, you don't do it like that. So you create small chunks known as functions. So sometimes it have some common functionality, or sometimes it have got learn 10-15 lines of code which you are going to use again and again. So that are known as functions. Okay, and that is there in every programming language. Even it's an object oriented, that is a different thing. So we divide small group of things in functions. So in JavaScript, what I have done here, I have created a function var exp, and inside this I have put that in. And function you generally call like this. Okay, function you call means from outside you call it, outside you call it. Okay, from outside you call it. So if I run it like inside if num, and this num1 is coming, but what will happen if I take it, because it's a var is a block scope. So what will happen, it will contain, it will not contain inside this if statement, as we have seen this earlier also. But now I will do it here, outside function num1. Okay, I will clear it and run it. Sometimes what happens in VS Code, this is not VS Code, JSBins, this thing doesn't come like this. Okay, so this is now give me reference error, num1 is not defined, reference error, because this is not. So in a var, what happens, if you want to have a scope, you have to have it inside a function. So now what is happening, the num scope is from here till here. So this is what the function scope means. Okay, and let's just see briefly about the const. So const we are going to see again. So the const just means that if I have a const num num3 equal to 30, then num3 equal to 40, I cannot do, and then console.log of first we have to get rid of this error, or else it will only give me error and all. Okay, see this error is there because I cannot do this num3. Okay, because it's a constant. Const means constant. I cannot do this thing. But if I take a let here, so I don't know whether this will run. Let will come, but I cannot take it as a const. So this is the const. Const I cannot take it like this. So that is there, and now we are going to look into data types. Okay, data types in JavaScript. So data types, I'm going to check. So there are 6 data types in JavaScript, and they are string, numbers, boolean, null, undefined, and symbol. So these are the 6 data types in JavaScript. String, numbers, boolean, we know in every other language it is there. Null and undefined, we're going to see what is there. Null, I think it is there in other languages also. Symbol is something which was introduced in ES6 and nobody uses it. It is like something like an array, and we are not also going to see it. It is a bit tough and nobody uses it, so we are not going to see it. And that is there. And now we are going to learn about the data types. So let me have something like const name equal to new. Okay, and again, even if the data types are there, everything is like you can take a const var or let. So it is not like so that I have told earlier also. So const age equal to 39 and const rating equal to 5.5 and const is developer equal to true and const x equal to null and let z. Okay, so this we have taken. So let me have one thing more, then we are going to I'm going to go through them. There is a function just like there is method in JavaScript through which you can see the type of anything. So I'll do a console.log type of name name age rating is developer X and Z. So type of operator give the type of something. Okay, so let me run it. So type of name is string. So as again as you can give a string in single quotes or double quote. It's a string. It's a string. Okay, so const name is a string, and as I have told, you don't have to take it like string in JavaScript. It is string. So compiler interpret it as a string if you have a single quotes or double quotes. Then we have a this like this a number. It's a number, and one more thing. In every other programming language, what happens, there is a float and an int. Float and an int is there like floating points like this 5.5 kind of a thing. They're like float or a double or something like that. But in JavaScript, what happens, everything is a number. Like 5.5 is also number, 39 is also number. Then we have this boolean thing. Boolean thing is there. And then don't look upon this. There are two things which I want to tell you. Then we have something like a null, and then with something like a this is coming as undefined. Okay, so what is a null and what is a undefined actually? Okay, so null and undefined. One sec. Yeah, so what are null and undefined? So null and undefined, both of them means empty values, both of them empty values. But null is something which is given by the developer. So I'm a developer, I have given something as a null. If I don't assign anything to any variable like z, I have not assigned anything, so it is undefined. It is undefined, so that is there. But what is like again, but why I'm saying that both of them, because means empty values. Okay, both of them are empty values, and one is assigned by the user, one is assigned by the system. This undefined is assigned by the system. If you leave something like this, it will assign by the system. But let us take some very good example for this. So all of us might have filled those school form, college form, and all those things. In India, you have to still fill those college form, and nothing is like online and all. Maybe somewhere it is like online, I don't know about it, but most of them it is like that. You have to fill the form. So in this form there is a field like the middle name. So first name, middle name, and last name. Some people don't have the middle name. Okay, some people don't have the middle name. I have a middle name and my kid doesn't have a middle name. But in some state this is mandatory. So you might be asking how it is possible. Yeah, it is possible. You go into some other state, it is like in Maharashtra and all, the mid name is mandatory, but not in some other state. It is like that. So suppose you don't have some mid name and all. So what will happen if you don't have a mid name? So no, I'm not right. Okay, wait. Okay. So if you don't have a mid name, so what will happen if you don't have a mid name? So const z we cannot write. Okay, so it will give error because you need to have, that's a very good question. So it will give an error because const requires some initialization. So that was a very good catch, and that was a very good error. Okay, so const we cannot write. Like const you have to initialize it. Okay, so yeah, so this because const you have to initialize it, that's why you cannot write. So const need to have a value, but I cannot say a lot of why because I'm not a creator of JavaScript. Okay, So const, it is written, the JavaScript people have written in stone that you cannot, you have to initialize something. If they have written in stone, actually I'm not that much knowledgeable developer. Means there are two kind of developers in this world. Ones who want to create those languages, one who use those languages. I'm a small developer who uses that language. Those are like PhD levels people who do those things. I'm not yet there. Okay, and I don't want to go there. That's a very good thing. In those who write those languages, they have to write it in like those assembly language kind of thing, and I don't want to write assembly language. It's like a very tough thing. Okay, so that is there. So that is there, and so yeah. So what happened? So yeah. So I was there. So that you write this mid name. So mid name is there. So a lot of people, what if the mid name is then a person doesn't have a mid name? You'll either leave it blank or you'll write something known as any. Any means not applicable. Don't know whether you know it or not. You can write any also. So any you write, any is like a null, and if you leave it blank, it is like undefined. So whatever you do, the computer operator who will feed it in the system, he or she, they will know. If you write any also, they have to feed it blank. If you don't write anything also, they have to feed it blank. In both those cases, they have to feed it blank. In both those cases, they have to feed it blank. So that is what is there. It is like if I write it null, means a developer, as a developer I'm writing it null, and it is required a lot of time you have to write it as null. So that is like a any in a form. And if I write it like a, if I leave it blank, it is like a undefined. So that is there. And one more thing you might have noticed, if you might have noticed there, is that type of x is actually a object. Type of x is an object, and type of z is like a undefined. Okay, type of z is like undefined. Okay, so why it is like no. So why there is like this? One sec. Okay. Okay. So what is there? So the thing is that why the type of type of null is coming as object. Type of null should come as null only, but it is coming an object. Why it is there? It is there because there is a, it is there because it is because of a story behind JavaScript. JavaScript is actually released in 1995. Okay, so 1995 it was released, and at that time in 1993 the HTML and CSS was released and it was going well. And that time there was nothing like browser and all, so people used to do it through FTP or something like that. Okay, we used to see it. So in 1995 there was something like that, the first browser of the world was going to be released, and that browser was Netscape Navigator. Google it, Netscape Navigator was there. So that was going to release in 3 days time, and some very brilliant guy whose name is Brandon Ick, EICH. Brandon Ick. You can search about it. So what happened? He got an idea. Okay, so the browser was going to ship with HTML and CSS only. Browser always ship with something. Okay, HTML and CSS. So he got an idea. So why not? Those buttons are there. Those buttons I can add some and CSS and HTML are not programming languages. Okay, so in those buttons, why don't I add some functionalities like this run button? I'll click, it will do some event like those things. So he got that idea. But the problem was that there was only 3 days. 3 days. So that guy was like a high level of brilliant guy. Generally, a programming language takes around 3 to 4 years to make. There is a Swift programming language from Apple, and it took them 4 years to make. And Apple have got some of the best engineers in the world. Okay, so they took them 4 years to make. And that brilliant guy, he created a language out of scratch in 3 days. In 3 days stack, he just worked 3 days continuous and created a language and shipped it with Mozilla Fire, Netscape Navigator. And the problem was that even if he was a brilliant guy and all those things, there was a lot of bugs in JavaScript because he created it in 3 days. And the problem was that the moment was released, JavaScript became an instant hit, and all the initial websites of the world like Google, Yahoo started implementing JavaScript. And the simple programmers like me, like who are, so as I've told earlier, there are two kind of programs: one who use it, one who create it, one who use it. So the simple programmer like me, they started using JavaScript and all, and they started doing those things like uh, uh, there is one thing which the simple programmers or like the mortal programmers like us does, with the gods of JavaScript has created. And the mortal programmers like us, what they did something like this. Okay, if type of x double equal to null. Okay, so you see this thing. So type of x equal to object. So there are a lot of time in programming, what happens, you need to check that something is null or not. So there is a lot of code which has gone in the earlier days like this. If okay, I will give the exact code like what have gone. So if type of x equal to object console.log do something. So lot of engineers in Google and Yahoo, they have done this kind of coding. If type of x equal to an object, because they want to check null, and still people today do this kind of coding. So they have done this kind of coding and all. And those who don't know, there is saying that Google has got 8 to means I think 30 billion lines of code. So the old code never goes away. So what happened, these old codes were there. So even after 4 5 years, when they see, okay, even after 1 year, when that creators see that, and JavaScript become big, and it started going through some organization which is known as 𝐏𝐚𝐫. So they cannot change this thing, because a lot of half of the internet will break down if they change this thing. If they change the type of null, which is object, to null. Actually it should have been null. It should have been null. Type of null should have been a null, but it is an object, which is a bug in JavaScript which can never be solved. So that is the, so yeah, that is good. JavaScript developed in 10 days. So thanks for maybe 3 days. This is way too early. 10 days, but 10 days is also very very soon, because see. So okay, I will tell from 10 days nowadays. So that is good. Okay, yeah, millions and billions and will not able to use our favorite Google if they solve this. So they didn't even solve this thing in ES6. Okay, they were not even they didn't even solve this and touched it in ES6. ES6 was a major upgradation in JavaScript. Okay, but they didn't touch that thing there. So that is done. And now we'll go ahead and we'll do string con. Okay, so there are some of the things which I'm going to tell now. Some of these things are related to ES6, but we'll see them now only, because we are going to use it soon. And ES6 we're going to learn towards the later part of the week. Concatenation, string concatenation. So string concatenation, const name. Actually, there are two ways to write a string. So const age 29, and here, so there is an old way to write a string which is like before 2015. So console dot log. So that way we have already seen here. So this plus plus thing you have to do. Okay, so you can give single quotes, double quote, anything. So my name is, suppose I want to write my name is Mabindu, and I am plus age plus I want to write I'm 39 years old. So I want to write years old, YEAR, and this, but I'm not able to write it and it is giving some error. So to write it, I'm not able to give it because I'm already using single quotes and I cannot give it like this. So I have to escape it like this, escaping it like this, and then I can give the next one, years old. So like this I have to do. Okay, so that is there. This is the old way, and this will run, and I thought everything was okay, but everything is not okay. See, there is no space here, there is no space here. So this is something which you have to keep in mind, which we used to keep in mind when we used to do it through this string interpolation. And I still remember we have to come back a lot of time, means before 2015. Okay, we have to, because everybody forget to give these spaces. Okay, so these spaces are always required and you always used to forget to give these spaces. So I'll give this space and then run it and show like this. So the new way is like with ES6, which came after 2015, and it's now work in every browser. And console.log document dot get element by id will be explained when I am going to explain DOM. So this is the basics of JavaScript, that is DOM programming, that is known as DOM programming. Maybe on date 3 DOM programming is there. First the basic is required, then the DOM programming will be there. Okay, so this is from this is from total beginners. So this is not like I cannot directly jump into DOM programming. DOM programming is very tough. Okay, I cannot directly jump into that. That is on day 3. DOM programming is on day 3, and we are going to do something more. Okay, so the new way is like my name is, and DOM programming is a practical how you use JavaScript in vanilla way, but there is not just that way to use JavaScript like the vanilla way, because JavaScript is using React and Angular also, and they're used in a different way. They're the topics are taken from here, not from DOM programming. DOM programming is done when you do some project in vanilla JavaScript. Okay, vanilla JavaScript means you are not using anything like React or Angular, and you will find soon that it is very complicated in comparison with React and Angular, especially with React. Angular itself is very not complicated or vast. So in this the new way, which is the ES6 way, what we do, my name is $name I have given, and so whenever the variable will come, you have to keep it in a dollar and curly bracket, and I am, and I'm writing like plain English, like I know that I don't have to break and do this plus and all those things. Okay, so I will not forget to give these spaces. Okay, and I am dollar age YEARS. Now I can write it directly also. It doesn't matter. I can write it directly also. Old I'll do, and I'll do clear. You don't ask this many questions. Vanilla JavaScript is like vanilla JavaScript, like the vanilla ice cream. Vanilla JavaScript means using JavaScript without any library or framework like React or Angular. That is known as vanilla JavaScript, or you can say another name is DOM programming also. Both of those things are okay. Okay, so that is there, and okay. So the next thing which we are going to see is some string methods. Const str equal to so just like any other programming language, JavaScript also have a lot of method like string.length. I will take str.length, it will give me 16. It will give me 16. So this is one method, and a lot of other methods you can see it from string methods. MDN is a very good documentation site which is known as Mozilla Developer Network and developed by Mozilla, and also you can see a lot of them here, but don't see all of them, see some of them. And this thing deleted thing, don't see there, they deleted from JavaScript actually. So, and all these things you no need to see them. Okay, so that is there, and str.length is there. Similar to that, there are some other things are also there which is in JavaScript, and this like things are there in other programming languages also. Console.log and str.to upper case is there. So as you might see, now yes, two uppercase will change everything to two uppercase. So similar to this, we have two lowercase, and it will change everything to lowercase. Another thing is there is something known as str dot substring, and 0 to 7 is there. So if I take it, and it will do the substring, and substring start from 0. So 0, anything like string, we are going to learn about array also after this. So everything starts with like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it will go till here, means seventh one will not be taken. And then the other thing which we are going to take is like the string dot includes, and like a Java. If I do the Java, it will give me true because there is a string Java here. But if I do a string dot COBOL, means it is checking whether that is there or not, and it will return me false. So this is all the string methods are there. Okay, so that is there, and we're going to continue a bit more because we have started at 8:45, so we'll end at 9:45. Okay, so anyways, we give the attendance form anyways. Okay. Okay, so that is there, and okay, so the next thing which we are going to learn is arrays. We are going to learn arrays. Arrays are very popular. If you are coming from other programming language, also arrays are there. Arrays are there in all programming language. Anyways, string, numbers, boolean are also there in all programming languages. So arrays are there. So what are arrays? Arrays are a variable you store like this, a single memory in the RAM of the system. What happens with array? Array in JavaScript also, Java also, any other programming language. It will store like a continuous memory. It will take continuous memory in the RAM. Okay, so we are going to learn about that. So const, suppose our lang is there, it's like Java script common Java common C++ common Golang common clean common 5 common true. So here one thing is different from any other programming language, which is like I have a string also, I have a number also, I have a boolean also. In most programming language, what will happen, you either have a string array or a boolean array or a number array. Boolean array anyways don't have. So but in JavaScript it is not like that. So I have a console.log of lang, I'll have now. So it will give me like array. And as I've told, how arrays are stored in the memory, what happens, this square bracket I have to take. Arrays are stored as a continuous memory, continuous slot in the memory, in the RAM of the system. Suppose all the addresses are actually, addresses have some unique address known as a MAC address, and it generally have some hexadecimal kind of a stuff. So suppose this is the address number 24. So 24, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. It will store like that. So in computer, what it tries to do, whenever some empty space it finds, it will fit it. It is not like that it will always get the number 1. So that is not how the RAM works. RAM works, whenever some empty space is there, it will fit it there. So it is like that. Okay, so this console.log lang I have done. It will, and arrays are shown by, arrays are given by this square brackets. And how I will access one element of the array, that is very important. So we use the square bracket and then we give the index of it. Index is what? Array start with 0 index. As I've told, the string also start with 0. Array, because this substring we have done, it was with 0. Array also starts like this: 0, 1, 2. So if I do a lang of 2, it will give me C++. Okay, so that is there. So the next thing is that if you want to add a new element to an array, you can do like this: lang 3 equal to C, and console.log of lang I will do, and it will give me this. See, instead of golang, C was added. See, generally this is not a good way to add anything. Generally in arrays, what happens, you add something at the end or you add something at the beginning. End or beginning, remove also something at the end or remove something at the beginning. So this is not a good way to do it. So we have some methods to do that in array, and they're like a push, pop, all those methods are there. Okay. Why the output is coming in double quotes? Output is coming in double quotes because single quotes, double quotes, both of them are same in JavaScript. Those both of them are strings in JavaScript. So I don't know why it is coming in single quotes. Both of them means the same thing. Let me see here. Here also it is coming in double quotes. Both of them means the same thing. Single quotes, double quotes, both of them means the same thing. Maybe internally it represents like that. I prefer to use single quotes. And that's again a good observation. I saw it for the first time. Okay, I prefer single quotes because that depends upon the developer. What you prefer? I prefer single quotes. I could have used double quotes also instead of that. So lang dot pop. So as I told, we generally don't do it directly. We have some methods like lang dot pop I'm doing. So with this pop removes something from the end. So actually I want to remove this 5 and 2 because they are seeing like they are like a bit different. They are like everything is a string, they are a number or something. So I'll do this thing, and if I clear it, if I run it, so see, 5 and 2 are removed here. This one is coming because of that. So now I want to yeah, both of them will consider a string. In fact, this is also considered a string. This tilde thing which I have taken, okay, this is a tilde. This is in JavaScript after 2015. This is also considered as a string. That tilde is below the scape. That is also string. Okay. So three things are string: single quotes, double quotes, or the tilde. So that is there. And now we have like lang dot push. So pop removed something from the end. Similar to that, we can add something to the start also, like Pascal, and no, push will add something to the end, and we can add something to the start one. So unshift, there is unshift is there, and that unshift is maybe Kotlin. Oh, Kotlin I already have. Then what I will do? Shift I'll do. Yeah, that is a tilde. Shift I'll do, and then console dot log of lang, clear it, run it, and it is not showing. Okay, so see this push added this Pascal at the end, and shift added this unshift added this shift at the starting. So that is how the push and unshift work. And similar to pop, we have something known as lang dot shift, lang dot shift we have, and then and we are doing so much. Those who have not liked the video, please like the video, and please subscribe to our channel if you are not subscribed yet. Please subscribe. We are producing so much content right nowadays. Okay, so it takes a lot of effort. So see, and here the shift removed your from the start. The shift remove the shift. Okay, so shift remove the shift. Okay, it is removed it from it's a tongue twister. So it is removed. It is removed. Shift is removed. So this is how it is there. So beside this, again we have some array functions. And array functions are actually very much important. We are going to when we are going to learn ESS, we are going to learn a lot more array functions which are used a lot in React. Okay, and as I told, for me to teach JavaScript, the main thing is for you to learn React. Everybody should know that thing. The final aim should be learn React and get a job. So vanilla JavaScript cannot fetch you a job. Okay, you have to learn React or maybe Angular, as someone was telling, but don't go for vanilla JavaScript. Vanilla JavaScript only, it should be the building block to learn React. If you go too deep in vanilla JavaScript, you will miss struggle, because it is very tough if you go too deep into it. Okay, so we are going to look into some array methods now today, and I think we'll end there only today. There is a object thing is also there, which is very important. Object, we will look into it tomorrow. Okay, so array dot is array. So again, some methods are there. So array dot is array lang I will take, and let it run it. So it is true, it is coming as true, because lang is an array. So instead of this, if I do array dot is there a lang of maybe 4, so it's 4 will give me something like go 0 1 2 3 4, something it will give me anyways. So it will give me false, so similar to this, if I search for like let me search for similar to string, we have this thing there also so we have this thing like, instead of this I have this lang dot include java, and COBOL, and this COBOL is not there. So includes java will give me true, includes COBOL will give me false. So this is something like this, it will be there. And again, there are a lot of functions in array also. Array are actually the most array are important than string. Array are more important than string. Array and objects, which we are going to learn tomorrow, because today we are not going to learn, they form the basic of JavaScript. Not only JavaScript, they form the basics of any programming language. And JavaScript is very much important, because that is how the data moves in the internet, which I'm going to tell later on. There is a pattern known as array of object, which is a very important pattern, and that is how the data actually moves in the API and all. So even if you are a front-end developer, you should know a bit about APIs and all. And that's why I tell, if you are good in React, learn a bit of Node.js. Node.js is very easy, and you learn Node.js, you become a full stack developer. Okay, so that is there. And we'll actually end here, because the object will take some time, and we're going to do this object tomorrow, and we are going to end here. And COBOL give false and why java true, both are string. Okay, why COBOL give false? COBOL give false because COBOL, it is like, includes means whether this thing is there or not. It is not checking like it is a string is like this, string was this thing. Includes means whether in this array we have java or not. In this array we have java, in this array we don't have COBOL. So that is like that. Okay, hope it is clear. Includes just check whether that thing is there or not. Okay, so we are done today, and hope you liked it. Hope you learned a lot. Of people were fresh and all, they're just learning JavaScript. Hope you learn a bit about JavaScript. Go through it again, and please do like and subscribe tomorrow again with the 3 videos. At 2:30 it is CSS beginners to advanced. At 7 it is CSS advanced to master, and at 8:30 it is JavaScript. Okay, thank you all.